Hey, you're online with our show Marginal, Absurdity, where we talk politics, current events, science, theory, and just about whatever we find interesting. So sit back and stay tuned, if you don't mind. All right, hey guys, welcome. It's Ryan and Chris here, and we're talking politics today. We're talking the Trump inauguration, and I guess to start off, we're going to talk about the what happened right beforehand, right before Donald Trump became president of the United States.
You got your popcorn, Ryan?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so before the inauguration, some big events happened. The farewell address that Obama set out in, I believe, his hometown, Chicago. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went back to Chicago, and it's actually kind of unheard of for the president to go to their hometown. To give the farewell address.
Is that so? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a special one. I mean, it mirrors that this is a very special transfer of power. This is unusual, and I think that's like going to be the main topic on like everyone's minds. And in all the history books for years to come, like, this is a mystery election.
Yeah, for sure. It's weird, I didn't know presidents usually didn't go back to the hometown and do farewell addresses, but I guess that is so with Obama. I mean, I knew he was a lawyer, or he did law and worked over in Chicago doing some. I think he did like nonprofit organizations for like urban areas or something like that.
Yeah, he was a community organizer, and I think at one point he may have been a professor of law or worked at a university.
I think he did teach. Yeah.
So he's not your typical like standard stereotypical kind of lawyer. Like he has always been like involved in the community, involved in like people's lives, or like furthering someone's education.
Right. Well, I think he did constitutional law, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, during that farewell address, I remember the last. I don't know if you remember, but I remember the last kind of couple words he was saying. Yes, we did, or yes, we can. Yes, we did. You remember that? I don't know if you watched any of that or not.
Yeah, I saw that part.
Yeah.
Yes,
but,
I did cry.
I know. I'm so sad to see him go, man. But yeah, super inspirational, and he during some of his other little events before the inauguration, he kind of harped on some of that, especially with the conference, the last press conference he did in the White House, and he did another letter to the American people where he kind of harped on some of that stuff that he said, I've seen Americans, build a leg for a guy, and all the amazing stuff America does. It's awesome, but yeah, super sad to see him go. Oh my gosh.
There's a really great picture. I don't know if you've seen it, and you could probably search for it online. Mm-hmm. But it's a shot of Obama looking at the White House from the helicopter as he leaves.
Yeah.
He's peering down at it.
Yeah.
And it really does sink your heart because
I know.
Oh, like 8 years. And it's been a turbulent 8 years. Like there's so much that has happened.
Yeah. So much. Obamacare, gosh, everything. Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, the killing of Osama bin Laden. They found Osama bin Laden and killed him under the Obama administration. Like, that is insanely cool.
Yeah.
And, just the whole Obamacare. Like, no one thought that was going to happen. Like,
oh, yeah.
People were still skeptical, like, when he was president and he had a majority in the Senate. Like,
yeah.
And he got it done.
I know. He pushed it through, which was surprising. I mean, but now there's some different plans going on. But but other than that, before inauguration, there was some a lot of other problems with
the new guy.
Yeah, the new guy. Yeah, Mr. Good old Trump. With the there was some some Russian hacking in the.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was some Russian. I mean, he says
It's
he
election
says
controversy.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost just like a pissing contest almost between
Yeah.
both parties, you know. But like this whole Russian hacking thing, it's fake news. You know, is it fake news? I don't know. I mean,
well, the Russians definitely hacked the Democratic headquarters or whatever. They
Yeah.
definitely hacked them because that's where the emails were leaked. The Russians did that. But when people are saying that the election got hacked, they're making it seem like Vladimir Putin was sneaking into the booth and like rewiring the machine. Like that's not what it was.
Right.
He hacked
right.
the DNC and he's a criminal for it. Like obviously he's a criminal. But I don't know. I don't think that's hacking the election. I think that's more of like trying to sway the vote.
Yeah.
And of course it probably worked. Like he let out or his men or whoever, KGB, I don't know who carries out I'm not an expert on Russia. But it was just to sway public opinion. It's like, hey, look how dirty her hands are.
Right,
you know?
right.
And so he's basically I'd say he's hacking public opinion.
Yeah.
And I feel like that ties in with fake news too. I feel like that's what fake news, all these people, whoever's behind the fake news.
Right, yeah.
It could be like some grandma in suburban Minnesota. I don't know who's making the fake news. But they're like trying to hijack public opinion and sway votes. And it's...
Yeah.
I think that's a new thing. Like, maybe not. I mean, maybe in the past you could say the same thing of like yellow journalism. Like people who use newspapers and tabloids and spread false information. So maybe that's just what we're dealing with now. I don't know.
Me neither. But I know, especially when Obama got word of that, like of any Russian hacking going on, he took the diplomats out. Did you remember that?
Oh,
yeah. He let the diplomats out or whatever. He's like, get out of our country. You ain't hacking us. You know, get out of here.
Yeah.
And I knew Putin was considering kicking all the Americans out of. I don't know if he did or not. I don't.
No.
No.
Obama said, "Hey, diplomats, you got 72 hours.
Yeah.
GTFO." And this is not just diplomats; they had families too.
Right.
I'm not like defending them, saying,
right. Yeah. Of
"Oh
course.
no,
the
poor families."
Right, but
he made them all leave. Like he's like, "You got to get out. We're done."
Of course.
Putin's response was, "Nah, we're not going to do it."
Right.
And if
almost
you're
like
rooting for America, it's kind of frustrating to hear them not. Like, we want them to have a petty reaction, I think.
Yeah.
I want them to be like, okay, fine, we're taking yours out.
Yeah.
Too, but I don't know. But yeah, he didn't take him out because in a few weeks, or from when that event occurred, it was just a few more weeks or days until the inauguration of Donald Trump. And they get along, so there's no reason to remove the diplomats.
Yeah.
So... I imagine they'll be returning.
Yeah,
soon.
Of course, with Donald Trump, I mean, he always denies that relationship with Vladimir Putin, but I'd imagine they're going to get along great, especially because I think we're in kind of our next little segment where we'll talk about this more with the inauguration, but I think Putin and like Russia was actually celebrating that Trump was. I read it in the news somewhere. I don't remember where.
Was it fake news?
It was probably fake news. But I remember reading somewhere where Russia was kind of actually celebrating that Trump was in power because maybe they knew, or maybe they think the Russian-American relations are gonna, come together.
Oh, I believe it. I would say that Putin popped a bottle of vodka and celebrated.
Said, come on in, fam. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But,
and I don't know the extent of their relationship. I'm guessing it's probably business. It's probably just some financial relationship that has to do with Trump's companies that station themselves in Russia or something like that. But I've heard rumors of Trump possibly being involved with oil billionaires in Russia. I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
We do know that his Secretary of State pick, Tillerson, I think.
Rex Tillerson. Yeah.
Rex Tillerson, the CEO of ExxonMobil, the world's largest oil company, happens to have extensive relationships with Russia.
Oh, okay.
And Tillerson actually, I heard this on MSNBC.
Okay, yeah.
He has a plaque, a friendship plaque, or some sort of
like acknowledgement?
Yeah, some sort of acknowledgement from Putin saying,
Uh-huh.
We do business together, or you've done business in my country,
Right.
you're a good person. But they have met.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
So, I don't know. You're definitely, I think it's 100% certain that relations between the United States and Russia are going to be greater than they've ever been.
Yeah.
That's objectively speaking. Like, I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but the relationship's definitely going to improve.
Right, yeah.
And it's probably going to be at the cost of the European Union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on there. But yeah, that, and I can always foresee like maybe the problem coming up with Ukraine and what the United States does there, especially with Russia wanting to take over or kind of push that border.
Yeah.
So but anyway, we're getting far there. That's we'll cover that in a minute. But more just before the inauguration, I know Trump was talking about the Jerusalem embassy, about changing Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, and I think that's a problem because I know Israel doesn't recognize Jerusalem as its capital or something like that, I think.
No, well,
and because it's in kind of Palestine versus,
Yeah.
and so there's another whole controversy there.
Yeah.
Never mind Russia and Turkey and Ukraine, but yeah, there's a whole different set of things going on there. And lastly, in the pre-inauguration, we actually, me and Chris, we visited a teach-in on the Trump presidency, and there was a certain presentation on right-wing populism, especially with the Trump presidency coming up to fourth, and
now, just to be clear, we were not attending information on how to be a right-wing populist.
Right, yeah. This was just,
It was informational.
Right.
About right-wing populism.
Right, yeah. Just a little, not really a hearing, but more like just to sit in to see what was going on there and what information they had for us. Of course, there was more little lectures on the healthcare system and what else did we talk about? How to protest nonviolently or something like that.
Yeah, they were talking about nonviolent protest.
Yeah.
It was basically just people that wanted to know more information about like how to protest.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Trump presidency in a peaceful way.
Right, especially with the Martin Luther King King Day beforehand and kind of going off of kind of his values and stuff, which was good. I mean, I think that guy talked about a lot of the stuff that Martin Luther King was doing, especially that Alabama bus thing with civil rights. But anyway, that was so that's basically kind of the big points we want to hit on pre-inauguration. And so now we're gonna turn over to the actual inauguration day, which was January 20th.
Yep.
Yeah, January 20th.
What was that? 4 days ago?
Yeah, that was 4 days ago, wasn't it?
Wow, a lot's happened.
I know. Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, but
I guess you just got to break it down for you. Rock the beat. I guess you just got to break it down for you. I guess you just got to break it down for you. Rock the beat. I guess you just got to break it down.
it started at I believe 11:30 or 12 on that day, and there was I think there was a substantial crowd that came out, but
not substantial enough.
Not substantial enough. Who knows?
Well, enough, unsubstantial enough to cause controversy.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of people there, and I know there was before, right? I think like the night before there was that homosexual rally on Mike Pence's street or something like that, which was insane. Yeah, but I think the inauguration, I mean, I don't know if you watched any of it, but I thought it was kind of through and through. I'm surprised it went so. I thought his speech was actually not too bad.
Yeah,
I mean, compared to what he did, or like the speeches he gave kind of during the campaign, and a little bit after the election, especially with that press conference where he had all those files, handing them over to his sons or whatever.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. it just kind of, personally, in my opinion, it kind of pissed me off a little bit to some of his speeches.
Pre-inaug.
Yeah, because he was very, I like that he's direct and honest, but that kind of pisses me off a little bit. But compared to the inauguration speech that he was giving, talking about, it's about us, the people, about, the country is kind of in our hands, compared to like his business stature where I'm the boss, I'm the dictator kind of thing. You kind of get that sense of, I think even during his campaign, you kind of get that sense of Trump that he's, a little overbearing and overpowering, which I think that's another reason he got elected, because he has compared to Obama, he has such an authoritative kind of persona, But yeah, the inauguration I thought was quick and easy, man. I thought it was pretty fast, and Hillary Clinton did show up, which I was which I was a little surprised, but she's a wonderful woman.
But it's beautiful that she did, because at the end of the day, the inauguration is all about peaceful transfer of power. And
Right.
It's like,
Right.
it's not that, oh, you won, so I'm going to throw a fit and start another civil war. Like, it's like about being peaceful. And she recognizes, like, it gives Donald Trump's presidency, like, respect and legitimacy. It doesn't matter what side you're on, like, admitting that you lost in your,
your campaign.
you're woman enough
trail.
to show up and,
Right.
like, be in attendance. Like, that's good.
Yeah.
There's pictures of, like, the Bushes hanging out with the Clintons.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah,
It's really, like,
yeah.
And that's, like, a symbol of how, like, it's peaceful. And
Right.
Donald Trump talked about that, too, I think, in his speech, just saying that he wants it to be collaborative. Like, we're one American people.
Yeah. And I was honestly pretty surprised by that. I feel like, especially with what we know now, it's a little bit more of him and his cabinet kind of taking over in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And that whole demographic, dare I say.
Yeah.
But but that speech kind of made me feel like, it's going to be, he's going to actually try to listen, which I'm skeptical. I'm so skeptical whether that's going to happen or not, especially with the with what's been going on recently. But I feel, just from that speech, I feel a little bit hopeful. I feel it's somewhat in decent hands now. We'll see what happens. What's going to go on with that. But in terms of numbers who attended the inauguration, I think it was like 250,000 or something like that. Did you get any of the numbers? I don't know.
I don't know the exact numbers. I just know that it was significantly less than what Obama had in 2009.
Yeah.
And it caused
which
issues.
was apparently fake news. Well, the CNN report, or like some of the reports on the news about who attended after the inauguration day. I don't, like when the news comes out with the numbers about all the tickets that were sold. So, but apparently it's fake news about how many did show up. It was supposed to be more than what the news provided. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a lot less than Obama. And I think it's because of his approval ratings, President Trump's approval ratings or whatever. I think they're...
Well, how strange is it that Trump has had approval ratings before he's even been president?
Yeah, that's true.
I found that strange. It's like, well, what are you asking for the approval of?
Right.
Like, how he is as almost president? Like,
right, yeah.
I don't know. I think there's going to be issues, and I think his approval rating's going to really tank.
Yeah.
Even more than it already has. But I'm surprised that they even have that before they're even president.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do think that I would put good money that Obama's inauguration both times pulled way more people than Trump, because it's historic.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit more inclusive of a guy, maybe.
Yeah.
And so that just, like, that logically leads to more people showing up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's in the presidency. He definitely tailored to some of the more liberal groups out there.
Yeah.
And, I think in America today there's a lot more people out there, and especially if you look at the popular vote of Donald Trump, there's a lot more people that are in support of abortions or gay rights or LGBTQ or anything.
Environmental regulations.
Yeah, environmental regulations.
That
exactly.
sort of thing, yeah.
But I could be wrong. I don't know. But I think there is. Also at the inauguration, there was some key performers. I know Toby Keith was at, I think he performed at the Army Ball or something like that. And Lee Greenwood, Three Doors Down was there. Tim Rushlow, I don't know who that guy is. But yeah, all these little, I mean, Toby Keith I think was the most famous one that anybody knows of that,
Yeah.
you know. And
I think it's funny. Toby Keith's like a country pop singer, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if that jives with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is like New Yorker, tough guy, businessman. Like,
Right.
I just don't think that clashes well with country music, but whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, it's funny you mentioned. I mean, he did invite Bruce Springsteen, which I would imagine would kind of be like of a New York sound a little bit, but more than Toby Keith. You know?
Oh, much more.
Yeah, but he denied coming, and Jennifer Holliday also did, and she's very good. But yeah, which it's just weird. But Toby Keith was there, and who I don't know if any other big celebrities showed up. I know what's that, Jenner, Kylie Jenner? No, not Kylie.
Caitlyn Jenner?
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner actually came over, and was there, and
In the inauguration.
yeah, she was at the balls and at the Army Ball and the others. But yeah, she was hanging out.
I'm surprised. Elton John, who is a gay man,
Yeah,
he rejected coming. He was asked to perform, but he denied it, and I don't know the exact reason, but I'd venture that it has to do with Mike Pence
yeah,
being a little staunch or strict towards gay rights or
right, especially
marriage equality.
right with this record, But
yeah, he's not a fan, so I imagine that Elton John was
yeah, I was like, no,
But
yeah,
that's why I'm surprised that Caitlyn Jenner felt it was chill to go, because I don't think that the vice president's going to approve, and it's basically like partially his party.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
yeah, but I also wonder, like, since she came, is that kind of like improving her cause a little bit? And I know that's a little skeptical,
Well,
because maybe she's trying to be like a little, I'm not afraid, I want to be the head figure of, LGBTQ or whatever,
Yeah.
And do you think?
Well, I think it's good that she felt okay to go, and if she is making a political statement, I think it would be in reason to say that she's trying to say something like that just because you're gay or lesbian or transsexual or whatever,
Right,
is LGBTQ,
right,
you don't have to vote Democrat, or you don't have to be in support of Democrats.
right,
You could be a Republican. Like, you can be, if you're saying that LGBTQ people can only be in the Democratic Party or only find support in the Democratic Party, you're really saying that ideologically they can only have one direction, I guess.
yeah,
When that's not true. Like, a human being is so complex, they can be one thing and hold all kinds of different views. So,
exactly, yeah,
yeah, I think that's good. I think there is sort of a stigma among more like left-leaning people that if you're in a minority group, then you can't vote conservative.
right, yeah,
Or that if you are, you're kind of selling out.
right,
But I don't see it that way. I think that it's good to have people on both sides, like, because that's the only way you're gonna balance. That's the only way we're going to like harmonize and become and be a United States. Like,
yeah,
I really like it. I like it when irregardless of your gender, your race, your disability, it doesn't matter. Like, you can have any kind of view. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so here's the question. So if you're, gay, lesbian, trans, or bisexual, can you be in support of Donald Trump? I mean, obviously you can, but I mean, is it
rational?
Yeah, is it rational?
Well, from what I've heard, based on what Donald Trump said, he doesn't seem to care too much about those issues.
Yeah.
He's not really. He has very weak opinions.
Yeah.
What I would watch out for is his weak opinion being overshadowed by Mike Pence's strong opinion.
Yeah.
See, like,
Yeah.
sometimes I think when someone doesn't have that strong of opinion, or they're chill. Like, Donald Trump isn't like gung ho, like, I love gays, but he doesn't hate them necessarily. Like, based on what he said, I don't see anything to say he hates them.
Right.
But
and I think also, just on an aside, I think he's on the same about abortion, because he said he'd leave it to the states.
Yeah.
To pick whether abortion was illegal or not. And I don't think that's too bad of a plan, honestly. I mean, I know he we're kind of getting to our next segment here a little bit, but I know he cut off as an executive order to cut off international funding to abortion relief or whatever or something like that.
Yeah,
And
he has now decreased the ability of some women in different countries to receive abortions.
yeah, so
Where
which
they-
I guess that's another like a little influence from Mike Pence or his own values, whichever. But
Yeah, or it might just be that he wants to please his crowd. Like Donald Trump has switched parties like many times. He has been a Democrat,
Yeah.
and he used to be an avid, like a very strong supporter of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. So, yeah, I'd say that abortion is like a lot of conservatives. That's their one issue. Like that is their biggest single issue, and people will vote for a president based on that one thing. And it's not necessarily that Donald Trump personally supports it,
yeah,
but he might support decreasing the ability of people to get an abortion just because he wants to please the base.
yeah,
And I guess if you're in a utilitarian, like you don't care about the actions leading up, you only care about the result.
right,
then
right.
You can
yeah,
say, yeah, Donald Trump hates abortion. But
yeah, of course, but
yeah, I think I get the sense that whenever a conservative says, I want to leave it to the states, it's because they're fine with something, like they're actually cool with something,
yeah,
but
right.
they don't want to be cool with it. Like
Yeah,
in
because
public,
it's kind of it's a
it'll
little
take it down.
against.
So they're like,
yeah.
let's let the states deal with it. Let's just let them figure it out.
The
And then
states will take it.
The cool states will do cool things, and the lame states will do lame things.
Right.
And I don't know. That's like, if you're in support of something, like that's halfway good because maybe your state will do it.
Yeah.
But if you need something and you can't get it, well, that really sucks.
Yeah.
So if you need an abortion and you live in Mississippi and they don't allow abortions,
you're gonna be moving to
Yeah.
California or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably, or Colorado, I'd imagine. But
yeah.
which I guess kind of leads into our next segment where we're going to talk about what to look for after the inauguration. Now, what he's done and what we're going to look forward to.
내게로 온다면 너말만 해 뭐든 간날 다 있을 텐데 Thinking about you baby
Yeah, after the inauguration, I know he did a couple executive orders, and one of the first being, well, I don't remember what the first one was. Do you?
I don't know what the first one is. I just know he's been a busy boy.
Yeah.
He's been really busy.
Yeah, for sure. But I think one of the first ones was to relieve the economic burden of Obamacare. I know Republicans have really been pushing that. Really been pushing.
Like
take
what?
up. What do you mean?
What do you mean? I don't know what he did
Yeah.
in regards to Obamacare.
Well, I think he put a halt to the funding or to like any, or he put it on pause or like freeze Obamacare.
Okay.
So I know they're now, and I think they talked about this at the teach-in we were at, where they talked about they're trying to do repeal and replace of Obamacare instead of just repeal.
Yeah.
So now they're working on a different kind of like overall healthcare plan, and I think with that first executive order, it was just to freeze Obamacare for now until they can repeal it and then replace it.
Yeah.
So more, I think some of his other executive orders was the freeze on federal employees being hired.
Yep. Federal workplace freeze.
Right. Yeah. And then there was another one on what was it?
He removed the United States of America from the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
That's right.
Which is
That's
like
right.
the Pacific Ocean's NAFTA.
Right. Yeah. Which I think which included everything everything on the Ring of Fire except for China. Yeah.
Yep. The Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
All those nations.
Do you know if that includes South Korea?
I
It
believe
does?
it does
Okay,
include
yeah.
South Korea. Yes.
What a shame, but yeah.
Yeah, we've been removed. It's interesting because two of his executive orders, removal of the United States from Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP) and the freeze on Obamacare, are two slaps in the face to the previous administration.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Obama had worked so hard to get Obamacare or
Right.
Affordable Care Act passed, and that was like one of his shining achievements.
Yeah.
And then Donald Trump walks in, and in no more than 2 days, puts a
Yeah.
freeze on it.
And done. But you know, one of the great things I think that happened here, and what I think Obama can be proud of, is that he actually put like a overall healthcare system for the American people in place. You know.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that the Republicans in the Trump administration are gonna hopefully replace it.
Well, I hope they replace.
Yeah, I mean, repealing would just be, I think, would be detrimental, you know. But and to say what the replacement will be, God knows. I know Rand Paul tried to put out a plan there, but it was kind of rejected. And I know in Congress they've got a lot of more ideas floating around, and we'll see what happens with the healthcare. But yeah, it's a tough one. We'll see what happens, you know.
You know, Americans do spend more on healthcare than any other Western developed democracy.
Yeah.
And we have piss poor results.
Yeah.
Like, when would it ever be acceptable for you to pay more for a lower quality thing?
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
So hopefully they replace it and don't just repeal it.
Right, yeah. And I think one of the big complaints with, and I was just talking to some person I met while I was working or whatever. And we were talking, and she was talking, she's a little bit conservative, you know, Republican, whatever. And one of the biggest burdens of Obamacare to her, or like one of her friends that she was saying, was that the payment on healthcare to pay for Obamacare is like through the roof. Like somebody pays $400 compared to like $800. She's paying like $800 for Obamacare or something like that, or to
like
cover
her insurance payments.
Yeah, her insurance payments is what I'm saying. And so I don't know if that's true or not. You know, I don't know how Obamacare, I guess, worked since it's gone now, but I don't know how that worked or how they divvied up, you know, who's paying more or whatnot. But I mean, I hope this replacement plan, you know, kind of takes that, you know, more distributed evenly among the American people of like how much everyone needs to pay to support everyone else to have health care. Yeah. If they do replace, of course. You know, so that's definitely one of the things to watch, to see what happens there, you know, with hopefully a replacement plan. But one thing we didn't get to so far was the Women's March. The Women's March that happened right after the inauguration. Yeah, I think there was like, and I mean, this might be fake news. I don't know. But I think there was a lot more attendees in the, at least on the East Coast, more attendees in the women's protest than at the inauguration. And globally, I mean, it was a lot more.
I think this might have been the world's largest nonviolent protest in the world. Like,
insane.
Which is, that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's fair to say, but like, if Donald Trump wants to write accomplishments down, he could write, I started the world's largest nonviolent protest. But that would not be fair at all because it's in opposition.
Of course. Yeah.
But I think that's interesting, just thinking about, like, I think I heard people in Australia were doing it. Just thinking about some Australian women who are, like, marching on their street.
Yeah.
For rights, for women's rights in America.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's really cool. And it's just, like...
I think there were people in, like, Alaska, or not only Alaska, but, like, Antarctica, Finland, Iceland. I think there were some people there as well, like, in the very distant, like...
I love it. I love that we're all like, we got you.
Yeah.
I got your back.
Yeah. Girl power kind of thing.
Girl power.
Yeah, girl power. But yeah, and I know from Trump's Twitter feed, he said he recognized the protests and saw what was going on, but, I mean, he hasn't said much more about women's rights or anything, any predictions or any action that's going to play out, so...
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that there isn't, but, like, you know, any prospect of what's going to happen, who knows? But at least, I mean, he's recognizing it. And I think that's also a good ode to that he's listening to the people now and not just taking on his own administration's, you know, ideals. He's actually trying to recognize some other things. And that just gives me a little hope, you know. We'll see how it goes, but...
I mean, it's way too early to call for anything. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows.
Right. So, but other things that happened after the inauguration, I know he replaced the curtains in the Oval Office to gold instead of red.
That's a strange change.
I know, right?
He's like, first First order of business.
Yep. Gold
Curtains.
Gold curtains. And then he, I believe he changed the bust of the Oval Office from Martin Luther King, which I believe Obama had, to I think it was Franklin Roosevelt. I think Franklin Roosevelt was the
That's a
or,
real
or Theodore, one of the two. I
kick.
can't remember. Yeah.
Since it was MLK Day, like what, 3 days, 4 days?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Last week it
Right.
was MLK Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I feel bad.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, change, transition of power. It's the American way. But so biggest thing to look for. Biggest thing to look for in the upcoming days or the upcoming weeks in the Trump administration. What do you think? What do you think?
I think people should be looking at Congress. I know Trump's the new president and all that, but
Yeah.
Congress is changing too, and they're the ones that write the legislation that Trump will eventually sign. Right now, there's a Republican majority in the Senate and the House of Representatives, so I'd be keeping my eye on that. Like, you're going to hear on the news when it gets passed or vetoed.
Right.
But this is like what's called the first 100 days. Like, this is usually when you have a majority and you can get something done. So you can probably see a lot of Republican goals and intentions are going to play out, or they're going to be speedy quick to try to get them out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That is definitely something I know I'll be watching for in the news. But what I'm concerned about is the trade agreements. I know we talked about the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Yeah.
And especially with China and especially with anyone in the European Union and with Russia. I don't know. I love internationality and globalization, and I just want to see how these trades work out and what he's going to do. I know and we didn't really talk about this too much, but I know he's talking about getting a lot of the automaker industry back in America, bringing back more American jobs, which I don't think is a terrible idea. I think America's becoming a lot more educated, and I don't know who's really going to take on those jobs other than people who, don't really have career aspirations or have a college degree or something like that. Because I think America is, especially millennials like us. I know everybody's going to college. Not everybody, but everybody's trying to get a skill or trying to work towards some career. And so seeing a lot of factories workers, come up, I'm a little concerned. Who's going to fill all that positions and
yeah. Well, there's something to be said about economic transitions.
Yeah.
Jobs that we would have done in the past no longer exist here.
Yeah.
Because other countries that are developing, they take those on.
Right.
We're in a global system, and so it might just be natural for some industries to move out of the United States. I don't know. Or it might just be the result of poor economic plans. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like to think that there is a natural progression, and not that countries that are behind now are always going to be behind. They just basically work their way up.
Yeah.
Before the United States had all the car factories, for instance. And then you might say, well, Mexico's, I guess, a developing country, so now they're getting more factories.
Yeah.
Eventually, they will accumulate wealth enough, and they will be fully developed, and then they'll move their factories elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then, the trend continues.
Right, so it's like a building, building of economy, a building of country to have factories different way. And so, yeah, I guess you're right. In that sense, bringing the factories back to America, is that the right?
Yeah, is it the right move?
Yeah.
It's eventually, you could see every country on Earth being a developed country. Right. I guess that's why we call them developing, because we expect that every country at some point in the future will be developed. We'll all have advanced economies. We'll all have democracy.
Right.
I don't know. So, getting really stuck on having factories in America, I don't get that. I don't get that.
Yeah. Me neither. So, I mean, I know... And I know he just brought some of those big CEOs of Ford, Chrysler, or Fiat Chrysler and GM into the I don't know if it was the Oval Office, but I know he brought them into the White House and they had a big discussion about what's going to happen. And so I know somewhere in the news, I think it was in CNN, they interviewed one of the CEOs, I think of GM, and they asked about the tariffs, what would happen, and what would happen if they actually did, do factories in Mexico or wherever. And there was no movement on that, no talk. He was just talking about being more like playing kind of the good cop kind of guy. He was like, yeah, come in America, and not harping on the what happens if you don't kind of thing. So
Yeah.
definitely something to look forward to. So I think that wraps it up for the Trump inauguration, the Trump presidency. What to look forward to so far. I'm sure we'll cover something else if anything big comes up, like a war, or God forbid, like a trade war. What happens what happens in Turkey with ISIS. I know he was talking about defeating and eradicating Muslim terrorism or whatever. But yeah, so that basically wraps it up for today's little session. Next week we're going to be covering a little something closer to home, talking about the Wildcats Corner podcast that we're going to do, concerned about some of the things that are going on at the
University of Kentucky.
Yeah, University of Kentucky. I know they had they just came out with the Colonel case, so I'm sure we'll be talking a little bit about that and some other little things. But yeah, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, thanks for listening.
Yeah, hey, thanks for checking us out, and we'll catch you on the next one.